There is an urgent need to act, to foster harmony and tear down the structures that are built on one dominating the other. These structures were built by humans, and we have the power to change them. This belief is what Right Livelihood laureates work towards every day, showing that it is possible to build a different human story, community by community.
Welcome to the interview series How to Mobilise Change. My name is Parisa Amiri, and during 4 30-minute interviews we will take a deep dive into the engaging stories of this year's Right Livelihood laureates. And it is my pleasure to introduce from Mother Nature Cambodia, Taram. So, Mother Nature Cambodia, it is a youth-led organization. In what ways do you think that impacts and benefits you?
Before talking about the impact of our movement, we would like to clarify that in Cambodia we are a movement, not an organization. Because otherwise, if we say organization, then the government the next day would come and say, "Oh, you're an organization, you're illegal." So it is a clarification from me that we are a movement. So our movement has no structure in Cambodia. So our impact is that we have been successful in protecting Arang Valley from damaging hydropower dam project that was funded by Chinese company and associated with Chinese government. The dam was a fake one, and a lot of report at the time said that the dam wouldn't provide as much as benefit as what it would destroy, and it put the whole village of the local people under risk of flooding, and those are indigenous people. So we talked to the people, and then we joined together with the local villager to fight against the dam. And another significant success, I think, is stopping sand export to Singapore. At the time, the government declared to the UN Comtrade data that they only sold the sand to Singapore for $250,000. But in contradiction, the Singaporean government declared to the UN Comtrade data that they have exported $750 million worth of sand in the last 5 years, which we have suspected that the missing $750 million was because of corruption, and it might went to the pocket of the elites. The other significant success that I want to mention, the last in this point, is that we are able to inspire young people to be able to talk about environmental issue in Cambodia. That is very rare because we have been through a lot of war. We have been through civil war and genocidal regime that people are really scared and becoming apolitical and didn't want to talk about social issue. But we have seen now that's changed. That's changing because we have seen a lot of people posting about social issue on Facebook, especially young people that they work with us to do the protest for environmental issue. So we feel hopeful for that.
So, your movement is youth-led, and the use of innovative media approaches has been notable. Can you explain to me what role social media plays?
Social media in Cambodia is very important to Cambodian people, especially in the freedom of speech, because in Cambodian society we don't have any independent media anymore. The last one was Voice of Democracy that was cracked down by our prime minister before the election. We also have other new organization called Cambodia, but we have seen that it is a new organization that it is not as active as the VOD that was shut down by the government. So social media becoming the only platform that Cambodian people could express themselves about environmental and social issue, and some of the independent news agencies such as Radio Free Asia and VOD, they start their broadcast on social media instead. The most popular social media in Cambodia is Facebook. It is very important to Cambodian people. However, we have seen that the elite people, they know the importance of social media for democratic movement, especially for social movement. So they have their strategy to, they have created a cyber war room, where they control a lot of people that use fake accounts to try to comment bad thing under the post of any news agency, and also they created a lot of scene on online so that they can get attention of the people.
So your social media presence has been limited by the government.
It's not limited, but it's more like a competition. It means that when they help people in a cyber war room, they try to comment bad thing on you or try to intimidate people from talking about social issue. Or and then you have the other influencers that they created different content, and lots of people are attracted to them, which means that we who work on the social platform need to think about creative way in order to compete with those influencers, whether they are from the government or not, because otherwise people wouldn't notice us on social media. We have a lot of activity. We have protests. We produce videos and artistic picture. We also produce cartoon. We have our artists working closely with environmental activists to produce cartoon on environment. So when we do protests, we don't only just do protests and that's it. We have a video team working with the protests. So the responsibility was to walk along the protest, capture short clip, and then use it to make highlight video. We believe that if we don't do our protest creatively and humorously, that people wouldn't be interested in our protest. So instead of wearing good clothes and jacket, once we wear helmets and then we put antenna on our head to walk on the street to deliver petition to the Ministry of Environment. So the good thing was that a lot of people on the street, when they see us, they laugh. Also, the police who was ordered to walk beside us and maybe try to prevent us, also laughing because they couldn't stop themselves from laughing. And then when we arrived in front of the Ministry of Environment, the journalist asked, "Oh, why do you wear the helmet and antenna on your head?" Then we answered mockingly that because the Ministry of Environment was not transparent. They never issued any research and any information from the ministry, so we hope to get those information through radioactive, through our antenna instead. So it was like a mocking tactic. And then Radio Free Asia was there, and then Voice of Democracy was there. They captured the video and then they posted on their news webpage. It got like 1 million people in less than 7 days, which we thought it was a success for that activity because we managed to get attention of the people.
So you've had many successes through these creative tactics in garnering support. How can you see that this actually makes a difference as well for your issues?
I think we can talk about it as success in order to encourage our activists, because our ultimate success is to inspire people to talk about environmental issue, so that we hope that one day the people would start to protect their own environment from themselves. We have a lot of challenges, to be honest. I don't know which one is the biggest because all of them are big. So let's talk about the oppression from the government. It is a big issue because we were registered as an organization in Cambodia since 2014, but then our organization was dissolved by the Ministry of Interior in 2017 because we managed to stop some corruption of the elites that was like $700 million in money. And more than that, I think, because the hydropower dam was about $1 billion. Because they lose a lot of money, then they decided to dissolve our organization and then deported our founder. Then some people got arrested. So many times they tried to stop Mother Nature Cambodia existence in Cambodia. Their tactic was to threaten people, to buy off people, and then to jail some people. But as a result, we are still here. I mean, there are some risks, but we have, I think, come with the risk is resilient. We have become more resilient. We adapt to the pressure, and we have more tactic and more strategy to cope with the oppression. Unless they go all in for all of us, but it wouldn't be easy for them as well, I think.
How do you support members and activists that are facing arrests, threats, and the government's repressive actions in different ways?
We do talk, so talking is very important in this context, because people started to feel that they only receive the threat alone, or their threat is becoming bigger because they never experienced it before. But then when you go to listen to someone that had even worse there were even worse situation than yourself, and then you feel like, oh, you are nothing. So that is what I cope with pressure as well, because when I was sometimes I feel pressure, I feel not good because of the oppression. Let's stop doing it. We would just talk to them and say, I get it too. And then we share them our experience, our way of thinking, because a lot of the time we have different thinking about the risk. For example, a lot of people are scared of being in prison. So because they never been to prison and they never know what it looks like in prison, the idea of their prison, just like me before, is that we have seen a lot of Chinese movie where the prison cell is very awful. But I think that is a fear that it comes from. So people are scared of from things that they have never met. So when we talk together about prison and our time there, and then they feel more like, oh, there's still some fun there. You can have some friends. That's as long as you are positive and you could overcome it. Then
so you're trying to undramatize the idea of prison.
Yes, I think the best way to fight against the risk or oppression is that to push back the red line, because I've learned about it that when they put a red line for you and then you don't resist, and then the red line becoming smaller and smaller. For example, before we have seen people talking, asking our prime minister to step down in 2013, but then the red line is there. You cannot talk about our prime minister. Then another red line, you cannot walk on the street. Then another red line, you cannot even post on social media. Then they would take you to jail. But I think if you are too scared to fight back, then you lose your freedom, because freedom doesn't come easy. You have to take it. You have to use your right. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself an activist, a human rights defender, or just an engaged citizen?
I think even though I can consider myself as an activist or human rights defender, there's nothing much different from the people, because what I always want to show to the people that what we do is not something special. It's something inside every people that they can do it. Because wearing antenna with helmet is not something that you have to go to university to be able to do it, right? It comes from your everyday activity, your humor, and I mean everyone have their daily life. They know very well the pain that they have been through, the humor that they have in their head. It's just that we need to inspire people to get it out into action, because people are scared. But I think once people laugh, then they would not scare anymore.
It helps with the fear, definitely.
Yeah.
How did it feel to receive the Right Livelihood Award?
It's like winning a big lottery. So on the day that the team called us and then say something that we made it to the last 4 team, and I was thinking like, oh, it's a semi-final. So then Ole was said like, no, you won it. I was like, what? Because I didn't expect to we didn't expect to win the award. So what we was hoping for is that we hope that when the team when the Right Livelihood team go to Cambodia, at least we can show them what we are working on and the reality in Cambodia. And maybe we would be asked as to be one of the guest speaker in the event. So that was what we were hoping for. We didn't hope to win the award, and winning the award was some kind of a surprise to us. And we didn't prepare much, so it was very busy later on with some media work and videos and editing poster. So I worked late night almost every day at a time.
But what difference will this award make for you, do you think?
I think coming with the award is a big network and more visibility in the international media, and which means that it's more chance for the people to hear stories about Cambodian environmental sector.
Encouragement and legitimacy, how can that help?
Yes, I think it's a big encouragement to people in Cambodia, because when you win the award from international organization, especially the Alternative Nobel Prize, which is one of the biggest award, people in Cambodia are really happy for us. We posted many times about it, and then people congratulated. As coming here, you might know that 3 of us didn't make it to Stockholm because they were under court supervision, and the prosecutor just say no. They say it is unnecessary to get the award, but then those that same prosecutor was backlashed by the people, saying that if it's not important to get the awards, then what is important? Getting money from your party, because he has been in the party. And
So the people's will caused you to come.
yes, the people want us to come. And what amazed me and really inspired me was that there were some young people who walk on the street to do protests with us for our activists to come, though they know that they won't be able to come. And when we interviewed them, and then they said, we want Mother Nature Cambodian activists to come and receive the award because they deserve it. They have been struggled for it, and they have acknowledged our work, and that was very happy to see people, our own people, especially young people that we are focusing on, acknowledge us, join with us, and start to do action by themselves.
So what are some of the misconceptions surrounding your work and your cause?
A lot of misconception in Cambodia is most of the people think of activism as once you do activism, then you starting losing your job, because in Cambodia the ruling party control pretty much everything, every aspect of life, including business. So when you are becoming vocal on social issue, then your company will say you have to go. Yes, and so lots of people, especially parents in Cambodia, because they love their own child, that they don't want their own children to face the risk. And most of the people in Cambodia, they want their own child to travel abroad and then live abroad, not to go back into Cambodia. Because if you look at a lot of students who come to study in Europe, then they don't go back. And so to me, it's very sad to see a lot of those people leaving their own country when the country need them the most. So I think that is one of the biggest misconception. The other misconception is that they think we are too sensitive, that some of the people didn't want to work with us or reluctant to work with us. Because I think it is one of the tactics of a dictatorship regime, because they want all of us to be afraid of each other. For example, they want people to be afraid of civil society. They want civil society to be afraid of environmental activists. They want activists to be afraid of political activists. They want political activists to be afraid of each other, afraid of talking, feeling suspicious to one another. Then it is their tactic, and then we fell into that tactic for a very long time, that we didn't have much time to talk to each other, because we are afraid that if talking, for example, we are afraid if we talk to political party, and then we would get retaliated by the government by shutting down our office or something like that. And I think it is time that we have to stop it. It is time that we have to talk together to be unified, and then we can go for a positive change.
Was there ever a point where you considered actually giving up?
A lot of time, because doing activism is very pressured in Cambodia, and sometime in 2020 some of our activists was arrested, and then at the time I just started to work with Nature Cambodia undercover. But there was some time that I sit in a room and then I think about social issue, about the situation, and there was a point that I feel that the power of the ruling party is very big, and then I couldn't win. What we do is just to postpone the pain, but inevitable. Sometimes you lose hope. It happens with everyone because you've been through a lot. It's like you are in a battlefield and then you feel like you are going to die at some point. But then it just happened for a day, and tomorrow, when it happened, what I did was just like to do nothing and then just take a good rest, sleep, and then maybe playing video game or something else. And then tomorrow I feel like I come back stronger. Then I feel like, oh, there's another hope. Then let's do it. So a lot of the time, from my reflection, lots of the time we look at big picture. We look at it. Oh, they have a lot of power, and we are too small against them, like an ant against a giant. But then, when the next day I changed my mind. Like, why not focus on what is there? Why not focus on the little chance that we have, and then let's do something with it. Maybe there's something that we can do that change something. Then started to feel hopeful again.
Your campaign against sand mining in Koh Kong led to the government prohibiting the export of marine sand from the province to foreign countries. But could you describe the challenges encountered in this?
Some of us was arrested and they spent like 10 months in prison. And before that, our founder was already deported back to Spain. And the government tried to use the word foreign agent, color revolutionist, CIA to criminalize us, to be able to imprison us. But it's funny because they say we work for CIA, which is, to work for CIA you need more skills, not just.
You're not skilled enough, you think?
Yeah. I don't think I'm skilled enough because I can't barely use my camera effectively. Well, there was no more sand mining, so it was good that the fishing community, they could do the fishing along the river again, and then they don't have to be worried of their house falling into the seawater because of the sand mining, which was very nice for the people. We went back there many times. Then we have been able to see them doing their fishing things, finding shrimps and squid, and we have been welcomed by those people whenever we go there.
They
It
were
was
able to
nice.
retain their livelihood.
Yeah, they could support themselves because fishing was the only thing they can do, and when doing sand mining, it destroyed their livelihood. So it would be they were very happy to be able to do the fishing again. Well, it was easier before to connect with the local community when we were there. So when the people have problem, they welcome us, and then they were really very very helpful to us. And our I don't say it's tactic, but I think it's our nature that we never think that we are some group that know better than the community, or we are more wiser, or we are the best strategists. We were just there to be part of the community. So a lot of community, when you go there, they would call us son or daughter or whatever, because they don't think we are one of the outsider, and they would do a lot of things to protect us. And what we do was just trying to understand their way of life. We live with them, we spend a lot of time with them, and to build a relationship, we talk a lot. And one of the most important thing is that to inspire them not to be scared of what they are doing, and then telling them the right way so that they don't use violence. What they do is peaceful and it's lawful, that they don't subject themselves to too much risk of being arrested.
But how do you actually connect with them and get their trust? How do you make them want to be in this fight with you and trust you?
To consider ourselves not to be part of them or to be someone more civilized, but to consider ourselves to be one of the indigenous people or to be one of the community on the ground. A lot of the time when we go there, we don't go to hotel. We go to the community. We sleep there. We eat their food. We try to understand them, and we talk a lot about this and that. So building personal relationship is very important.
But what advice would you give to those aspiring to create change through their work and everyday life?
One of the most important advice is start doing it. And most of the time, people stuck at the first step. So I failed many times at this. I have when I was younger. I'm still young, but when I was younger, I I wanted to do a lot of things, and then the worst obstacle of me was at the first step. It was very hard to start from the first time from scratch. So because I personally thought about big thing and forget about the small thing. So my advice to them is that dream big, dream that our country one day would have democracy, that our people live in dignity, that our natural resources are protected, but start doing small, start doing what we can, control what we can do, and there's nobody but us to control the situation.
Could you explain for us the importance of highlighting the connection between democracy, human rights, and environmental activism?
Yes, I think it is very important to connect all of it because they are all interdependent. Otherwise, if you say, so lots of people say, oh, without peace you wouldn't have human rights. Then because the government say it, so they are the founder of peace, and then they say you have to protect peace in order to protect human right. So you or peace is the most important thing. It's better than human right and democracy. But what kind of peace do you have when people are being evicted from their own home? And what kind of peace do you have when those people who are in need of land housing, but they never they never be provided any kind of land? But then those tycoon who have a lot of land, a lot of house, then they still get land concession, the whole island to them. So this is what kind of peace is that? So I think it's very important for us to connect them together. And once democracy affected, then environmental issue would go after it, because when you don't have democracy, then our government is one of the most corrupt government in the world, and then they tend to destroy a lot of our natural resources, and we cannot protect it because we don't have democracy, we don't have human rights, we don't have freedom of speech. So it's very important to us.